It's been a long route getting here.
It is. There's a buildup. There's now a buildup.
So we have to talk about the karmic path that got us to finally being able to do this interview after 3 tries, because usually, and it's been for a long, long time, that 3 strikes you're out, and it's not about fault. It's just about that number having that connotation. So talk to me a little bit about that.
Well, what's weird to me is normally, and it probably happens on both ends, but flaking is a thing, and especially I travel in artists and creative circles. Flaking is a thing, but this was like circumstances beyond our control as far as technology, weather, other things, and in my head, I it's just made this more and more valuable. Like this is a thing I've got to earn now. This is now a challenge, and accepted. Challenge accepted.
Cool. Let's split the coincidence from the karma and the cosmic. Now, you were talking about flaking and technology and coincidence and circumstances and electricity. Like, there was a power outage here last night for an hour. But nowadays we have people who are just flakier than ever. Do you think that's a post-COVID related thing? Or do you think there's just something going on with society and culture right now that allows people to be more out of it than before?
That's a fantastic question. Like I said, creative people flake, and I don't think it is a character thing. I think it is a mind, a product of how the brain works. Something's in front of me, or it's not, and if it's not in front of me, I just forget. And I think that can be a thing. Having also spent years and years and years in the online dating world, flaking has just always been a thing. I think it's easier to flake in a virtual situation than in a human to human in-person situation. But I do think it's gotten worse in the post-COVID era. And I think it is because I don't know if that's a place that people who haven't online dated their whole lives have been aware of. So I think it is a part of that. I think the virtual, non-personal thing is definitely a part of that component. I think so.
Artists have always seemed to, in some ways, take pride in their flakiness. And there are some of us who are artists who don't take pride in being flaky. It's like, I've never been able to afford or have the luxury of running late, of not owning up to my commitments, not finishing and completing my work, or eating the vegetables off my plate. So what is it about artists that allow them to be so flaky-bakey?
Super good question. Is it because it might be a which came first, the chicken or the egg situation? Is it a way that artists justify that part of their personality? Or is it just the word for that part of their personality?
It's sort of like a get-out-of-free card when you think about it. They go, no big deal, I'm an artist. And so like they can get away with it, like for some reason that they have some sort of special ability to not own up to what they're saying.
Yeah, or to not live up to the expectations that other people put on themselves. Yeah, super good question.
Now,
I was just going to say, I tend to, whenever possible, look at the lemonade side of things, right? Like if somebody says to me, oh, my art isn't very good, I look at it and say, oh, no, your art is very playful. That's probably a product of your personality. Your art is very playful. It's just a more positive way of looking at the same thing. I don't remember where I was going with that. Artists, I think, no idea. Are we going to edit?
We can do so much over here. The lemonade metaphor you just made, when life hands you lemons and all that. But you know what? If you don't sweeten it, you just got something pretty bitter. So for me, that never really worked. So, but that's something I just wanted to bring up because you just snapped that in my brain.
Yeah.
And then also to answer an age-old question, which came first, the chicken or the egg? We do know the answer to that now scientifically, and it's the egg. The egg came long before the chicken because there were other beings that existed that came out of eggs. And so they finally discovered that that came before the chicken did. So there, we got something answered for you.
That's like I've already gotten so much out of this conversation. We can end right now and I will die.
Okay,
happy.
see you later, Anjl. Another thing I wanted to drill down on a little bit is that you talked about spending a lot of time or many years overtime in the online dating world. And that's not even really what you do as an avocation or a hobby or anything. But why did you choose that as a way to meet partners?
I've always been a fan, honestly, because I kind of like having a little mini bio on somebody before you get to know them. And also I like when I was younger and was out in public, it was usually, I was a single mom, so I was usually working in some capacity, but my jobs are like DJ on the radio and playing in a band. So I didn't want that to be the first impression of someone. I didn't want to date somebody who met me in one of those capacities. And now I work at home. So there's just, I'm not gonna, meet new people in my living room. So it's
right.
Yeah.
I can definitely see the safety net feature in online dating because there's been, I guess, a theory or a belief for a long, long time that men don't share very much, and online dating gives you let's just say it's a man-woman world and not talk about gender in any other kind of ways, that men have never really been good communicators, and that online dating gives the woman a chance to see whether or not the man can string a sentence together and how he might or might not be interested in communication on the long-term basis.
Yeah, all of that. Yeah.
So how much success have you had in that? Have you had several relationships? You have a current relationship, and is it based on the dating that you've done online?
Yeah, no relationship right now. So if you're looking at the end game, no, it's not been very successful. But I do like to say that I have had the privilege of falling in love many times. And that is really the best part of any relationship. So I consider my love life a successful one.
Oh, that's good, because you've had that opportunity to have your heartstrings plucked a few times, so to speak.
Yeah. I lived. I'm stronger, and I've got to meet some really cool, interesting people. So, yeah.
Well, now it's, I think, totally acceptable and accepted by culture. So 20, 30 years ago, it wasn't, because you were supposed to meet people in a dark, dank, smoky, crowded, loud bar. And most of those people were way beyond the 2-drink minimum. And so I think it's much better to be able to do this kind of a thing in a face-to-face environment, to be able to really kind of get in and find out who that person is. Exactly.
And also to be exposed to people that you wouldn't normally consider. Yeah.
And so are you still involved with that? And if so, have you switched different providers or different companies, and do they differ in any way?
I don't think they differ. The one that I am on now has this feature of they can't reach out to you unless you reach out to them first. That's always the case anyway. So I don't know why that is the big selling point of this one.
I don't understand that. What is that meant to protect women, or is that just?
Good question. I have no idea.
That works.
Yeah, me either. I don't know what the benefit of that is. I don't mind people saying hi first. Why is that a bad thing? I don't know. I don't know why I switch around. Honestly, I seek dating, I should say, really half-heartedly now. And not because I'm discouraged. I'm just busy and really love my life. And so I just don't put a lot of time. It's low on the priority poll.
Right. This whole thing started at the top. We were talking about just flakes and so on. Do you find that there are a lot of flakes in that world as well?
Yeah. And it's probably
Yeah.
for different reasons. If you're talking to four people and one of them works out, you kind of just stop talking to the other four. You don't need to give a big explanation. You were just chatting. But
Right.
on the other end, it looks like, oh, he just ghosted me. Well,
Mm-hmm.
Everything is perception. I never.
Do you find the friendships are a little bit different now also to conduct, and whether or not that is a post-COVID related thing? An example would be, for instance, pre-COVID, I might have just picked up the phone and called Anjl and say, hey, how you doing? Nowadays, I have to text Anjl to see if she's available for a phone call. Yeah. So have you noticed any of that?
Here's what I've noticed about myself. I did not realize what a closet introvert that I am. I don't think I'm a new closet introvert. I'm thinking I didn't realize it about myself until post-COVID. I also realize about myself, I am not good about reaching out to friends. And I've never been good. As long as texting has been alive, which has been half of my life now, I have immediately gone there as my preferred initial contact, just because I don't want to bother people. And I am often in the middle of other things. And if a phone call comes in, I might not remember it. Here comes the flaky artist thing again. Right, if a phone call comes in, I'm in the middle of something else. I might not think to get back to the person, but a text is something I can read and be like, oh yeah, that's something I need to do. For me, I text is, and not only that, but I also really like having things written down. So if somebody calls me for work or for whatever, I ask if they can shoot me a text or an email so that I have everything in writing info that I'll need to know later. Otherwise, I just have dozens of Post-it notes around and they're all just white noise.
Is that done for organizational purposes or comfort purposes or both?
Oh, super good question. You ask all the good questions. I'm
not organized at all. I have no Post-it notes anywhere here. So no notes are taken. We just do this.
I think it's for organization, which makes me feel comfy. How's that for a gray area answer?
Yeah. Well, 50 Tastes of Gray. So it allows for the gray area, which takes up 80% of our lives, right?
Yes. I feel like I have less anxiety if my brain isn't working so hard to try to hang on to 50 different things. If the things are written down somewhere, I can relax my brain.
If I were to speak to a friend or a client, I would always tell them, make lists, stay organized. And, I don't practice what I preach because I roll off my brain all the time. I think I spent so much time being organized in my life that at this stage now, I just like improv the entire time.
Yeah, improv is my game. I love it. But I know that I also have the memory retention of a puppy. So I like to, I am non-flaky enough to know that there are things I like to be accountable for and would like to remember. And lists just, they are comfy for me.
So the things that you like about yourself, like keeping lists and staying on top of things and having a good memory, are those the things that you value in others as well?
I don't know that I even really think about it. I am a very easygoing person, maybe to the point of detrimental to myself. I hang on to very little. So I don't think I value it huge in other people. I value kindness. I value thoughtfulness. Yeah, those things, and which don't to some people, I know that remembering things is an act of kindness or an act of caring. I just don't think it's that for me.
So, for instance, might you not remember a friend's or family member's birthday? Is that kind of what you're referencing with memory? And
head shake is happening before the question was over. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so you're the one who says, when is your birthday again? Like you don't have a calendar to write it down on or anything.
Oh, no, right? They're all in the calendar even. That's the even sadder part. They are all in the calendar. but I don't look at today's calendar until this morning. So it's not like a week ago I'm going, I should get cards out to this person, this person, this person. Yeah, I am bad about that.
Would it be valuable for someone like you, or who has those traits or tendencies, to use 365 Post-it notes on a board over there in the other part of the room that has every one of your family and friends and associates' birthdays written down on it?
I don't think so, because then it all would become white noise, I think.
Gotcha.
It would be like wallpaper to me, and I wouldn't. There are some things. I have a whiteboard that is very orderly looking, and there's a lot of stuff on it. And I would say 2/3 of it is white noise to me. There's one section in the middle that is things I need to do today, and that is the thing that ever changes, and I put new things on. But the things with long-term goals and projects that are done in steps and not done at one time, I don't look at those as often.
So do you find that the white noise in any way is supportive on a day-to-day basis for your thought patterns or processes?
I don't think I understand the question.
Well, you mentioned white noise a few times now. I guess I'm asking you, how do you define that?
Oh, okay. Got you. It's a comforting gray buzz in the background that doesn't make me look at it or pay attention to it. It's, I hear it. I don't give it much heed, if that makes sense.
It's background.
Yeah, exactly that.
But it comforts you at the same time.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Do you think that most people would consider that?
This is a very good question.
For them? Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I have no idea.
Because, the word noise and the word interference, although they're connected, is not exactly the same. So that's why I asked you if you found comfort in the white noise, but probably not so much if it was interference.
Yeah, really, really good question. When I sleep at night, I have trouble sometimes shutting off my to-do list. So I will put on an audiobook or a story or a podcast or something at a very, very low level. If I have to strain to pay attention to it, my brain will shut off other activity, and then I can fall asleep. If there's no noise, my brain's just happily running the to-do list through my head, or
so
that
no
earworm
noise.
song.
It's too noisy when there's no noise.
That is it exactly.
Isn't
and I don't
that
know if it's that way for everybody. I don't think so.
I have a suggestion for you. If you really want to be able to sleep comfortably, turn on one of my podcasts. I'll put you right to sleep.
Your voice is very soothing. I'd say you've got a very Bob Rossi kind of a quality.
That's funny.
Your voice.
Okay, let's get to the fun stuff. What have you eaten today?
I had an egg with green pepper and tomato and onions and feta in it, and coffee, and water that has extra caffeine in it. That's my intake so far.
Okay, so tell me about the egg. In what way was it prepared?
It was a scramble. Breakfast is the meal I pay the most attention to. So it's either got, some nice spinach in it or something. But usually I just scramble. Sometimes I do the egg in the middle of a piece of bread and toast that on both sides. That's an enjoyable meal. And I will eat that for weeks at a time for breakfast. And then I'll go back to the scramble and I'll do that for weeks at a time. I'm in my scramble phase.
Oh, right. Yeah, we all go through that, don't we?
Yeah.
What about your yellow water there? Is that a coloring agent along with the extra caffeine that you put in? How come it's not coffee?
I'm guessing. It's actually electrolytes, not caffeine. Pure kick.
So electrolytes are pretty much potassium and sodium, right? I don't know what they call it, electrolytes.
It's got the word electrolytes on the little tubey package of powder that I put in there. And I don't drink enough water, so I feel like this is this neon thing is a health drink.
Yeah, I'm gonna say no. I don't think so. Does it have a little bit of sweetness in it, like artificial flavor?
Probably. No, not a ton. I don't think.
Mm-hmm. I've got this old boring stuff. It's kind of clear.
I don't. If it's boring, I don't drink it. So that's why I got to put something in it, or that half bottle of water will just be half drunk the entire day.
Do you find that you need the caffeine buzz throughout the day, pretty much in the early part of the day, or do you do it 24/7?
No, I don't drink it 24/7. vice is Mexican Coca-Cola. So I usually have one
the
coffee in the
real
morning,
stuff.
and that the real stuff, the old school. And that with my lunch, and that's usually all the caffeine. I don't. There isn't caffeine in here. I was running as electrolytes, not caffeine.
So, from a culinary perspective, do you have any thoughts about where you're at in that waveform we call lifestyle, food-wise?
Well, let me just start by saying I am from the Midwest. So Wisconsin.
I heard it. I was thinking Illinois.
Did you?
Okay.
Did you also notice that because I spent 10 years in Seattle trying to lose the Wisconsin. So I got that down, but I don't think in every other word that I am able to lose the hard vowels. But yeah, I'm in there. I'm in the middle. So
are you a cheesehead?
I love the cheese.
There you go.
I don't think I overdo it. But I do love it. Love me a good burger, brat, boiled in the beer. And but I don't drink beer.
Oh, so you're a no alcohol girl?
I'm a pretty no alcohol girl, and for a couple of reasons. I like the taste of Mexican Coke way better without alcohol in it. It just makes it taste yucky. I don't like the taste of it, honestly. So I kind of never really got used to it. So I just don't.
So I understand the attraction of Mexican Coke, but how do you get that? Do you have to have a dealer to get Mexican Coke?
I have a dealer. I have when I travel or when I move to different places, I've got to find my hookup. And
right.
It is because you buy it by the case. Otherwise, you're paying $4 a bottle. I
was just thinking if anyone was tuning in just now, we're talking about Mexican Coke. They're going, what the heck are they talking about?
I get my Coke from Costco.
Oh, do you really?
Costco is my drug dealer of choice.
They don't sell Mexican Coke at Costco.
They do.
Wow. If more people knew, they would even be doing better.
Guys,
that's so how they can afford to sell you that $1.50 hot dog and drink, right?
Making all their money in soda.
It's been forever.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So is that plant over your right shoulder behind you, does it have little lights on it?
Yes.
It does. Are those lights illuminated at the moment?
I think they are, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, they're all on now?
Yeah.
Oh, that must look really good at night or when it's darker in the room.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it. Yeah.
Oh, that's very, very cool. So we cover everything around here.
I guess.
Your background is very artsy-fartsy, and I know you run Brush Capades.
Yes.
Tell our audience what Brush Capades is all about and the genesis of that story.
Yeah. I'll start with the genesis. I am an artist, and I also am a comedian. I do comedy sports, which is improv comedy. And when I first heard of Paint Night, a chain of this sort back in 2014, where you go in a bar and you drink and paint lovely things, I thought, I am so uniquely qualified to do that. I need to call this chain to let them know. And they said, fantastic. You can do it on Tuesdays at this bar on the east side. And I thought, I'm just going to buy easels. So I did. I've never attended one, but I bought easels and did a painting and invited 24 friends to practice on, and then launched the business. So that's how it started. And I was in Seattle at the time. So my fun weekend night classes quickly turned into corporate events, as a lot of the people that live in Seattle work at Amazon, Microsoft, Google, Facebook, that sort of thing. And they're like, do you do corporate events? Yes, I do. So they would bring their teams to me during the day. Now, that's a different situation than people going to a bar to drink, because when you go to a bar, you signed up for that, you paid for that, you know what's going to happen. But a work event, your boss is telling you where to be. So not everybody is super enthused to be there. And I notice that art scares a lot of people. A lot of people come in with the qualification of, don't expect much out of me. My third grade teacher told me I will never be an artist. My sister got all the talent. Whatever. I only do stick figures. I was hearing that a lot. So my talking points in between teaching people how to paint a thing was, no, you really are an artist. You're not going to use any skills here you didn't use when you learned how to write your name when you were 5, and it's good for you. It helps with anxiety and depression. And so that became a much a part of my classes as the teaching people how to paint a thing. And so the corporate things really took off. And then with the pandemic, I went virtual, and now I'm teaching teams all over the world. It's the ikigai thing, right? Where my skill set and what I love, what I'm passionate about it has value for the world. And I really believe that. And so, yeah, it's really, that's what I do. That's how I got here.
So that's very cool. So you're doing online art classes like on a Zoom conference or something like that. And you're watching all of your students do their thing.
Yeah.
How do you communicate to somebody who is creative and has colorful ideas but can't take it from up here and put it onto the canvas? How do you work with that person if you've got a room of 5 or 10 or 20 people? How do you individualize for a moment? Say, hey, Matthew, you could do this or you could do that.
Hopefully in an online situation, and that's what's different from in person, because in person, I can walk around and see what people are doing and see what they're struggling with. With this kind of thing, all I see, if you were working on a painting right now, I can see your face, but not what you're working on. So somebody has to say to me, hey, how do I do this?
Yeah.
So that doesn't come up as much during the classes, but what I encourage people to do during the classes is start with the background. Just get rid of that white of the canvas, which is a daunting thing. So if you're painting a regular landscape, half of it's blue for the sky, the other half is green. Then you're just storytelling on top of that. A red box can easily become a barn, and a green puffball can easily become a tree. And so I just step by step get them there. And in a perfect world, and this does happen kind of often, people reach out after and say, I do love painting, but... And then we start the conversation in the DMs of socials and stuff like that. And that's when I really get to help people. And I also have public classes on Tuesday nights. So if people want to continue their painting journey, they join me for those.
That's very cool. So is painting an expensive hobby for people to take because canvas and paint and all that costs money? And if you make a whoopsie mistake, can you reuse the canvas, so to speak?
Yes, you can. It depends on what the medium you're using. So I like people to start with just acrylic, because acrylic dries in 2 minutes. So if you paint something you're not happy with, if you wait 2 minutes, it's dry and you can paint right back on top of it again.
Okay.
I didn't start painting actually till pretty late in life. I got a master's in illustration in Photoshop, because undo and delete and layers, because I was scared of a canvas. So I know of which I speak.
Right.
But I also know that a canvas this size is about 50 cents. And the joy, the self-confidence, that and the knowledge that comes with what I put on that 50-cent piece of material, whether I love it or not, is kind of priceless. And so that is what I tell people. We don't use the most expensive paint for the classes that I teach, and you don't need to. You can get just as much joy and benefit, like from the anxiety and stress, with just paper and pen and doodling. So it doesn't have to be painting. It's really fun when it is, though. It's really fun to watch people go from, I don't think this is going well, to, oh my God, I can't believe I'm doing this. That's a pretty joyful thing for me.
Oh, I bet. So you see people's quality level and ability and confidence all increase over time for the most part. Do you see that?
I do see it. And and what's interesting is I don't concentrate on the quality level, because for me, my message is that we are the only living creature that creates, that makes things out of nothing just to do it, not because we need a nest or to impress a mate. And doing this stuff is so inherent to what we are as a creature. Scientifically proven to help with anxiety, depression, sleeplessness, self-confidence, creative outside of the box thinking, all of this stuff. So just the doing. If paint is hitting the canvas, you are nailing the activity. Then once the paint is on the canvas, my lines are wonky. And like I said, that's your playful personality. You can't help but express yourself like you. Your personality is there. If your brushstrokes are bolder than the teachers, you got a bold personality, and that is awesome. So it's more important for me to teach people to love what they do rather than to get to a place they love. And I think that's such a great life lesson too.
It really is. It sounds like psychologically that's a fantastic exercise. Whether you're good or not, it's like if you're enjoying yourself and your mind is taken off of the yucky stuff in life, that's a good thing.
Yeah. I loved artist trade work. I own a lot of pieces from a lot of artists that I love, but my favorite thing that I own is something I got at a Goodwill, and it's a pretty good size, and it is Elvis and Marilyn Monroe. I think it's Marilyn Monroe. His skin is green, and she's got impossibly yellow hair. And it's a primitive piece, but it's so colorful and bright, and it gives me joy every time I look at it. It is my favorite piece. So
that
it's not
so
even
funny.
It's not. I mean, to paint something photo perfect is amazing, but it's not always what speaks to people. You know what I mean? So
Oh yeah.
Learning that, just like some of our favorite things in songs are the little blips that we hear that we know wasn't really supposed to be there. Why do we get so much joy out of that? I think it's because we connect more over vulnerability than we do over perfection. And while perfection is the thing we really love to put out there on the planet, it's not the thing that connects us.
Yeah.
And,
does it even exist?
Doesn't even exist. Yeah.
So the Elvis Marilyn Monroe painting, is it one of those velvet paintings where they make Mexican Coke?
It should be, but no, it should. I have a lot of velvet paintings. I love those too. No, this is on poster board, and I'm pretty sure an 8th grader did it. It's for some school project or something, and it's framed beautifully and was in the window of this Goodwill, and I'm leaving, and I kept turning around looking at it. I'm like, I have to own that. So I have no idea who painted it. I don't know the story behind it. It is my favorite piece.
Oh, that's fantastic. Now, I'm looking in your background over your left shoulder, the far wall up high. It looks like some Hawaiiana type art.
Okay.
Is that from a visit, a recollection from a visit, or is that just off the top of your head? Is that even yours?
The 3 of those are mine. The very topmost, my granddaughter painted for me for Christmas.
It's beautiful.
The other one, it is, isn't it? Yeah. Mm-hmm. The other, the face is Frida Kahlo.
Okay.
She's one of my top favorite artists. The one with the pink tree is a memory from my time there in the Hawaii.
Yeah.
And the other one is a watercolor, one of my first watercolors. Watercolor I struggle with. So that is one of the watercolors I'm kind of proud of.
Is that because of the nature of watercolor being different, and because it runs or it drips or it splashes or something different than other
transparent.
mediums?
It's transparent. So you can't paint, like when I paint with acrylics, I like to paint the shadows first and then light main color on top of that, and then highlight light reflected on top of that. I think it turns out gorgeous, and you cannot do that with watercolor. You paint what you see because every layer you put on is transparent. So it's just a whole different mindset. Every kind of medium, actually. This is oil, and that is a different mindset as well. So
that looks photorealistic from where I sit. That was really the bicycle.
So that you can see, it is not.
Pretty awesome, Anjl.
Thanks.
You must be proud of that.
I am. I do a lot of stuff for commission, so I don't have a lot of my own stuff around that is not a teaching tool. This is not. This was done for a musician's album cover. I'm quite proud of that. I don't do oil enough. I love the medium. It takes a week to dry, and I think I've been working in acrylic so long that I don't have the patience necessary always to do something like that.
I think one of the downsides of modern day is that we don't have album cover art the way we once did once upon a time.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, I agree with that. There was in Milwaukee, there's a graphic Design Museum, and they had an exhibit at one time, the art of the album cover. Mm-hmm. Oh man, I think that might be one of my favorite museum visits ever, was that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I can see why too. So what do you think about other types of art? I mean, you did say that you have done improv and comedy, and obviously you lead classes. So there's a lot of psychology involved in your communications and all that. What about tattoos and tattoo artists and so on like that? What do you think about that?
Love them. Yeah. It's again just a different medium on a different surface. I don't think they have the connotations they used to have when I got my first tattoo. My mom was like, "Oh no, you'll never get a job in a bank," and I'm like, "I don't ever want a job in a bank."
Right. And you're not getting them on your face.
You're not getting them on the face, and I think banks would be okay today hiring people with tattoos as tellers. It is just an expression, just like anything else, it's an interesting thing, the connotations that we put on things like tattoos that come and go over time, that says more about people than about the thing, the ink. I just find it very interesting. Yeah.
Well, what do you think about the indelible nature of tattoos and the fact that they are pretty much forever, even though there are laser removal and this and that? What about temporary tattoos in case your taste change or your belief changes within the culture?
Yeah, I think there's probably different, everybody has different feelings about this. For me, it's an expression. For me personally, when I can't not get one, then I get one. The ones that I have are very personal and they have very personal meaning for me, and that will never go away. Whereas maybe Garfield or my favorite band's name, I don't think that is something I would tattoo on myself. But I know a lot of people that have those sort of things, and I think that is awesome. And if that is a reminder for them later in life of when that was the place they were in when they got the tattoo, I think that is fantastic and awesome. Yeah. So
in a way, getting a tattoo is almost like a snapshot in time that you can look back upon and remember and recall what you were doing, where you were at.
Yeah. Is that so bad? I say no.
Well, you mentioned a minute ago your favorite band, if you were to say who they were or whatever. What's some of your favorite music?
Always my first answer will be the Rat Pack. I am so into Dean Martin and Frank Sinatra and jazz standards of that ilk. Since I was in my 20s, this is always my other music tastes have developed and then faded, but those things always bring me joy and nostalgia, which are two of my favorite feelings.
Yeah, and interesting because those feelings of joy and nostalgia can harken back to days before you even existed, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's definitely long before your time, but the sound was great.
Yes.
Those guys made Vegas what it is.
Yes, they did. Yeah.
Did you ever get to see any of, did you ever see any of your favorite people from, back in the day ever perform live?
Unfortunately, no, but I have gone to Vegas and seen a review that had a fake Dean and Frank and Sammy Davis. And I just smiled and teared up through the whole thing. It's as close as I can get.
Right.
Yeah, all of them passed before I had the opportunity. Yeah, I'm sad to say.
One of the things I wanted to ask you a little bit about art and so on, especially because you're doing it hand to canvas and, you believe in the tattoos and you love art in so many different ways. What do you think about AI technology and how is that affecting your world?
Super good question. This is a touchy subject for a lot of people right now, but I think, again, with how I really do believe that anything is what you make it. I feel like I'm good at creative writing, but getting the start is sometimes hard for me. So I use AI, and also I didn't go to marketing school, so I have no problem asking AI to give me a marketing sentence for a thing, and then I will take that sentence and put it in my own words. and put it out there. It's a tool just like anything else. And I know there are people who will or fear other people using it to not do good in the world or to shortcut in a not. And I think that can be said of just about anything. So I don't know that shooting that messenger is a good thing. Just like anything, there are people who just hated the internet for the same kind of reasons. When it first came out, good people will put it to good use, and people who aren't won't. And that's just going to be a thing with every new thing that comes along. And so I don't waste a lot of time worrying about it.
Do you think that AI, though, if we were to just specifically look at design, is that something that's affecting the design culture, the design field, or designers themselves as far as being employed?
You're going to get me in so much trouble here, Matthew.
Oh, that's what we're here for.
To get people in trouble? I'm here for it. Okay, I'll take it. I don't think it is going to put artists out of business. If that's
you didn't sound like you said that with any authority.
I said it very haltingly. I think that I've played with it as a lot of people have. I have never found it to be successful. It's just wonky. It's not clean. There's a wonkiness to it, a weird thing. It's not quality. Will it get there someday? I don't know. But like I said, I don't think as of today, it will anything that you do that is a shortcut, whether it's paying a tiny amount of money for something, you're going to get a cheap quality thing, whatever that thing. And I feel like this is kind of that. You're going to get something that isn't going to give people joy and isn't going to make people think, wow, I wish I had a print of that, because it'll just be like, and it'll make people think about whatever you made it for.
That's an interesting response, but I want to thread the needle a little bit, because you said, oh, you're going to get me in so much trouble. And then you gave me a very kind of generalized non-answer answer. Where is the trouble? What's the trouble you're referring to?
I have friends who do commissioned work for a living, and they fear this is going to put them out of business. At this point where the technology is, I don't see that happening right now. But in my estimation, wishing a thing wasn't a thing is never a good answer, because that is never going to happen. So I'm not one of those people that wish so many high rises didn't go up in this city, and I wish that this didn't happen, and that's keeping you in a spot of negativity that there's no way out of. This is your reality now, and that might be part of my improv mindset. But yes, we're here now, so where can we go from here? How can I, if not use this tool, well, what else can I do? What can I do to aid this tool? Not aid it, but you know what I mean? What can I do to work with it instead of against it? You're going to get further in life with that attitude than this is bad. Maybe, but here it is. So instead of looking at the badness of it, what is the goodness that is around it? That's always how I look at anything, mostly.
Well, that was painless.
It was painless. I don't. There are certain circles where I wouldn't give that response as freely, because people are, when you're so enmeshed in your pain about a thing, anything that is not a helpful comment, and the only helpful comment in that situation is me too. I wish that too. That's the only offer you can give them, because you don't have a solution for that thing. And look at the bright side, never, ever a welcome thing, you know?
Right, right. Why did you move away from Seattle?
Family. Well, yeah. It was a slow move. I moved to Seattle for family. My daughter moved out there. She started making grandbabies. I'm going out there a lot to visit. I need to move. And now my son back here in Wisconsin, where we all grew up, also started making babies. And my business was in a spot. For a couple of years, I had homes in both places. I had an apartment here in my hometown and also my downtown thing in Seattle. And I drive back and forth 2,001 miles door to door with my cat every 3 months or so as the wind would blow me. And that was awesome. And then last summer, I was there wishing I was here. And I took it as a sign. 2 apartments is a lot for one human. So I gave the sales place, and I still go back to Seattle a lot. But
Do you still have your kitty cat?
I do. She's here somewhere.
What's her name?
She ignores me most of the time. We have a complicated relationship.
Except when it's feeding time.
Feeding time, and also when I'm painting. She loves the acrylic paint is plastic based, and it's got a smell that we can't detect, but cats can, and they love it. So she's very attentive when I'm painting.
And what's her name, and what kind of kitty is she?
She's a Zuzu, and
I've never even heard of that.
Zuzu is you probably have. My favorite movie is It's a Wonderful Life. Zuzu was the sick little girl in the bed. Zuzu's Petals.
Okay. Just what popped in my head is you said that you drove 2,001 miles with your kitty cat.
Yeah.
What, in a carrier or just like hanging out with you?
Hanging out. She loves a good road trip.
No kidding.
Yeah, everybody's so surprised when I say that, but she doesn't spend any time down underneath my feet, and she sleeps 90% of the day just like as if she was home. So she sleeps most of the time anyway. But I have a blanket on my the middle thing here. She'll either sleep right there, right next to me, or on the seat next to me. She doesn't ever even I'll drive 14 hours in one day sometimes, and she won't eat or do her business in the car ever. So I've even stopped putting litter box out for her in the car because she doesn't anyway.
So is she a
it's
leash
pretty easy
girl?
Actually.
You pop a leash on her and go walk her like 100 miles into it?
I put a leash on her, but she prefers outdoor time to be underneath the wheel of the car, which is not enjoyable for either one of us. So
I hate to go under the wheel of a car.
It's her favorite spot. I think she just feels safe there. So she's not really a leash person, but I do have a backpack mesh carrier. I'll put her in that, and then I'll hike around if I'm in a national park or something.
Oh, that's very cool. Regarding Seattle a little bit more, did you notice the craziness that everyone reads about Seattle? And, you know, the crazy left stuff and the defund police stuff. I don't like to talk politics, but because, you know, you have had experience in Seattle, did you notice it getting a little bit crazy out of hand?
It's what got out of hand is not what people think got out of hand. Things did get out of hand, but it was, and it would be the same in any city, no matter what the political climate, as everybody was homebound. There are less resources for the people that are living on the streets. So they had more needs without people helping to take care of them. When I first got to Seattle, there were always different churches and organizations handing out sandwiches out of their trunks of their car and services like that. And those things kind of dried up during the pandemic. So that is where it got crazier, if you call it crazier.
Because aid and support diminished, other things got out of hand, which are not good things. Is that correct?
I would say that's correct, yeah.
That's a tough one, isn't it?
Yeah. And the other stuff that made national news, there were people who were there who were demonstrating because they had strong feelings about what was being demonstrated. And there were separate people there that were there to destroy and destruct. They weren't the same groups. That is an important distinction that was missed. Yeah.
Do you find that it's pretty much the same back here in Wisconsin?
No, not at all. I grew up not really knowing what my friends or their parents' political affiliations were. It's kind of still the same. It's not in my town anyway. It's not a topic of conversation, which I think is awesome.
Right. And very healthy to not speak about that stuff. But you know what, as far as I go back and like I go back a long way, that's just something you don't talk about.
That stopped being a thing with social media, I think, or in the current climate. And because it shouldn't determine whether you love someone or whether you are friends with them. That shouldn't be a determining factor. There are other things way more important that we've kind of lost sight of.
How did you get the spelling of your first name?
Let's talk
What's the story
about
behind that?
When I was 14, I thought that the Halo Wings version of Anjl was not memorable enough in the corner of a painting. I'm sure it's much like Tiffany or Brandy put an I at the end instead of a Y. What can you do with Anjl? How about remove all the vowels? That makes sense. So that it's a very phonetic spelling of Anjl, Anjl. Not enough vowels in there, I am aware. It confuses everyone. And I tried to go back to the Halo Wings version when I turned 30, and people were like, no, this is you now. So I kind of stuck with it. But as a business owner, I am highly Googleable. So there's value in that.
When was the last time you Googled yourself?
I used to do it kind of often just because I don't know, my curiosity. And I have enough going on in the world that there were a couple of pages of me and not enough going on that there's a lot of evilness about me or anything like that. So
that's a good thing.
Yeah. For my level of place in society, it was kind of enjoyable to be like, oh God, yeah, I did that. That was a thing.
So
but in a fun, it's a little fun little walk down history.
Oh yeah. So is Anjl your, it's not your given name, I'm supposing, that you created that. That's your professional name. Is your given
Anjl
name?
Is my Anjl. Yeah, my dad wanted to name me Anjl, and the doctor at my birth talked him out of it. Told him
Why
that
do you think?
he told my dad, or so my dad tells me, that I won't have choices when I'm older if I don't like Anjl. But if he names me Angela, I can be Angie, Angela, Anjl. So that's why Angela is my given name. But nobody's ever called me anything but Anjl.
Oh, that's very cool. I love getting the stories of why people have chosen certain names for things, you know? Yeah. So do you find yourself being creative in, let's say, the kitchen?
No,
I saw that. Now I see fear.
Yeah. Well, I'm talking to you. So, no, I would love to be creative in the kitchen. I am very utilitarian in the kitchen. Like, what can I make right now that takes 10 minutes?
What's the deal with that? It's like your creative spirit. You've done so much. What is it? What's the stumbling block? What's the speed bump to be creative in the kitchen? Find your zen there.
I'm gonna say it's exactly the same reason that people don't look for creativity with art materials. I don't know enough about raw materials to know how to put them together to make the thing that I want. I'm gonna say it is exactly the same thing. My mom was not a cook, so I didn't see it growing up. You know, we ate things out of a can, and I don't do that. But neither do I know how to whip up bread or a good soup or good, you know what I mean? Yeah. And
so
I'm going to say that's it.
You a grab and go then person?
I've got a lot of raw vegetables in there. I don't put them together in creative ways. Other than a salad, which is really just chopping and assemble. That's not really cooking, I am aware.
Okay, so you don't approach every problem, and that's problem in italics, with the creative endeavor, creative energy. Some things like cooking, you may not see that as a creative endeavor. You see that as an issue or a hurdle. You get past it, you get over it, you do it. It's convenient and fast and done.
That is how I see it. But I will say that when, sometimes when I start with a new group of people, I'll ask what they do that is creative. I always throw cooking in there as something that is creative because it is literally almost the same thing, only even a better outcome. You can eat it.
Right. Yeah. Don't start eating acrylic ramen, friends.
Don't want to do that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I would love to learn how to cook. I just haven't. I would love to learn how.
What else do you enjoy from the creative realms? Do you enjoy film or television? Is there something that you're watching these days that you like that you want to share with our audience?
I love a good murder mystery. I grew up on Sherlock Holmes and Agatha Christie. Mm-hmm. So the things that are out there right now that are in that realm, Only Murders in the Building is amazing. And I can't wait for the new series of that to come out. There's one on Hulu now that I just finished called Murder and the Other Details with Mandy Patinkin and Violet somebody. And that was also very good. I saw mixed reviews on it, but I really enjoyed it. So I really like that kind of thing. Lupin, based on the French books. Oh God, I love those books and was so excited to see that series come out, and I love that as well. Yeah. Those are the things that I'm kind of watch now. I am also a musician, and so I love making parodies. When I write music, it's parodies. I feel like I have a gift.
So you're like Weird Al's strange sister, Anjl?
Weird Al with a ukulele. Yes.
No kidding. You know, if you want to send some of your music this way, I can use it as a theme music for our show here.
Okay. Yeah, I totally will.
Oh, that would be fun. That would be the first time someone's done that. That would be really great. So ukulele, awesome. What made you pick that up?
I'm a bass player primarily. I can play other things, accordion and guitar poorly, but I'm a bass player primarily. I played in bands when I was younger. It's not an instrument to sit on your couch and play though. So I picked up the ukulele for something that I could play on my couch, and I just really enjoyed it. It's super easy to play and portable, and I love it.
So when you say bass, are you talking about stand-up bass?
No, electric bass guitar.
Electric bass. Well, you know, anything that you'd want to send that you think would fit the tone of our show, of your music, right. I think that'd be really great.
Okay, I'll find something. Yeah. I'll find something.
How many of these shows do you get to do per year? Are you staying active on the talk show circuit? Or are you just like doing it for fun, to make friends, to promote the business?
Yeah, I'm doing it for fun. I'm working on a book. I don't have it done yet. I'm working on 2 books actually, so I'm not promoting those. What I really love is I feel like my message, as far as the importance of creativity, works as much as a talking point as an activity with the painting, and so that is why I really love coming on these things. Yeah.
So you know, when people complain about being able to write one book, how is it that you're writing 2?
They're so different. One is written and I'm illustrating it now. And the other one I'm working on writing. One is called A is for Aneurysm. And it is a book in prose. It starts with a beautiful little poem about a little boy slaying imaginary dragons with his little cardboard sword, and a fairy pops out of the woods, and he catches her, and she starts admonishing him for slaying imaginary dragons when there are so many ills in the world. And that's where the alphabet part of the book starts out. A is for aneurysm, and A is for, and it's an alphabet book. And then at the end, he says, I see what you're doing. You're telling me to concentrate on the bad things, but I'm concentrating on the good things. And she shrivels up. And so I'm illustrating this book right now.
It's an interesting sounding story.
Yeah. And then I'm also writing a book that is just about the importance of arting, I call it, about creativity, doing creative things, and why we should do it, and how to find the bravery to start, and how to make hopefully a lifetime habit of it. It's the thing that I love to impart on people is there's cave art that is tens of thousands of years old, but proof of agriculture is less than 5,000 years old. It's been more important for us as a creature to express ourselves than to eat on the regular. And that's huge.
Wow.
And we've only
That's
been
so interesting,
isn't it?
But
and we've only been
really,
selling art to each other less than 500 years. That's a blip, but that is the measure that we use as to whether or not we should be making art. I'm not very good at it, therefore I shouldn't be doing it.
That's a great example, and it really, really makes sense because back in the day, thousands of years ago, when you'd only eat after you waited for 4 days until the woolly mammoth came out, and then you got to feast for a number of days. I guess you got to kill your time somehow, and making art is a great way to do that, right?
This creating, it's creating, it started then before anything else, before written word, before anything. We were drawing the buffalo before we were eating it.
Wow, that's wild. Now, as far as museums and so on, is that how you spend a lot of your time when you are traveling?
I love to visit museums when I go places. Yes. Yeah, that is because and some of my favorite stuff to see is the folk art, is the art from the untrained person. People who are well schooled, and the stuff is beautiful and that is awesome. But the stuff that really speaks to me is the stuff that somebody whittling something out of an old post made and then painted, and that's got value. There's real value in that, and it's regional, and that's the stuff I really love.
Yeah. Oh, that's very interesting. So what do you have coming up soon with Brush Capades, which is a great name, I must admit.
Thanks. I made that up too. My first name and my business name. Yeah. Something I'm super excited about. I'm going to be back in Seattle in June, and for the first time, I'm going to be painting on a boat. We're taking a cruise, and while we're looking at the Puget Sound, we will be painting the Puget Sound. So I'm super excited about doing that and developing more things like that, where I'm really, really looking forward to just going around the country and meeting people where they are and teaching them how to pay attention and paint the stuff they're looking at.
So is that about inspiration, being on a boat in the Puget Sound, more than it is about really pulling anything else out? Is it about just inspiring people to do it?
It's just as much about the creative thing as it is really experiencing where you are and being in the moment. It's all of that. So it's all kinds of experiences at once. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds great. That's going to be a lot of fun. You got a good summer lined up for yourself, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
Good. Any parting shots before we say aloha?
Just that I'm sorry to all my artist friends that I said the stuff about the AI.
Oh, you're totally fine. I think that you protected yourself and that they'll be okay too.
And to everybody else, you are an artist. Pick up a pen. And I think that people realize that you are putting your personality on the page, and that is a vulnerable thing to do. But do it. There's so much value, and it'll take you right back to the core of who you are. And our big question is always, why are we here? This is why we are here. This is what we're here for. Do the
Silly
things.
question, Anjl. Do you have a favorite paintbrush and or a favorite color?
The favorite color changes over time. I'm always super, super fond of red violet. So that's pretty much a constant for me. When I don't have a favorite brush. I don't. I love a half inch flat. I find it very versatile.
Who doesn't?
Who doesn't, really?
That's funny because, some of us have that OCD thing. It's like, if I don't know where all my dryer balls are or my green pen, I freak. So I wanted to ask another artist.
I hear you on the dryer ball thing. Oh my! I count them as I'm taking my stuff out of the dryer. I'm like, where? I'm missing one.
How can't leave the area. Yeah, no, it's a terrible existence when you have to go looking for that stuff. I'm so glad you joined me today. It was a lot of fun having you on 50 Tasted Great. Thank you.
This was so much fun for me too. Thank you for having me.
Please send along, a little bit of whatever Anjl music, and we'll put it beneath us.
Yes, I totally will.
Oh, that'll be great fun. Thank you so much for joining me, Anjl. It's really been a blast. So I'm going to say aloha to you.
Aloha.